Huh?
Whenever somebody gets beat
Yeah,
up by the cop.
I think we got it.
There are certain
Thank you.
statistics, negligence.
All right.
So
Sorry.
gross negligence.
Here we go.
Okay.
Anyway, hello, folks. Welcome to the show. It kind of changed a little bit. We lost two of our guests. One of them was the lobbyist, which I really want to talk to. And the lady from the Remembrance Project in Houston couldn't make it either. But that's all right. We still got Joe Martinez, Mayor Phelan, and Buddy Funderburgh, along with Mike Lee down there. This is my first time on in like 2 months. Y'all know I've been laid out pretty good. And I appreciate the Gandys and everybody else coming and doing the show while me and Ma stay home. It was pretty nice, but it's good to be back. And I'm glad y'all could make it. Now, we originally had planned to talk about the volume of criminal activity conducted by illegal aliens, especially those that were not deported or had been already charged in the past with things, because Mr. Funderburgh, as we know, about 6-7 months ago, lost his son and daughter-in-law, which was pretty bad. We're going to go into all that, too. And with things changing like this, with us losing our two special guests. Well, I know the Remembrance Project, if any of y'all are familiar with it, it's about all the different, there's just so many people that have become victims of criminal activity. Whether it's me and Ma coming down 290 from Elgin, we got tapped in the rear bumper by one drive, and he drove off, of course. That night, I heard him, because he was bumping into cars all behind us, and we got out of his way, but he just barely tapped my bumper and went on slinging all his beer bottles out, because he knew we were following him. To death, where they were actually killed. There's been a lot of people. It was not just in San Francisco. It was right here in Austin. And Buddy was actually mentioned by the president. Hopefully we'll have that up for you. Of course, I didn't realize at the time. He said, Fred? Funderburgh said, what? Austin, Texas. I said, hey, that Buddy? I didn't know what your name was, because everybody calls you Buddy.
Right.
But anyway, we're going to get into all that. I'm glad Mark Phelan and Mike Lee are both attorneys, because I was interested in just, is anybody liable for all this? I mean, when you get one of these guys and you throw them in jail and you deny ICE to deport them, and then they get out and do stuff like this. Just what happens, but we'll get into all that. Oh, Gabriel will be here later on. He's stuck in traffic. What?
I've got that stupid thing on my computer that I had once before. Just chill and give me a few minutes to get rid of it.
Y'all hear all that? My chief of staff in there about the computer malfunctioning slightly. Anyway, Mike Lee, anything to say about this?
Well, I just hate to see that what's going on in terms of all this protesting, and it was clear that someone is in the country illegally. Something should be able to be done about it. And in my mind, as a lawyer, I'm thinking, why wouldn't the municipality be liable for? I guess you really can't say there's negligence on their part. It's just a bad decision. But when it comes to suing the government, you have to turn so many corners. It's so hard, notice requirements and all that. But I think that we need to, as a people, come together and understand that these people are in the country illegally. They shouldn't even be here. And for them to further aggravate the situation by creating a bad situation for other people makes it even more wrong. And to me, it's kind of crazy to protest in favor of that. I know a lot of people feel like, hey, the criminals have all the rights. What rights do we have? People who do right have. And we first, I believe that when the president says America first, it should be Americans first. And it seems to me we're not putting Americans first as we should. I thought my understanding was always that you didn't acquire rights, privileges, and immunities of an American unless you were an American, not some guy over in Iran somewhere. He has rights the same as me. It's just not right. It doesn't make sense to me.
We heard a lot of that at the protest. If we get the computer up, we'll show some of that film while we're talking. There were several hundred people out there. Burnt the police car. The police did wind up showing up. I didn't see any American flags. A lot of the F word, F-bombs, F Trump, F the police, stuff like that. It's kind of sad. And this is what we're coming to. And these people never see the criminal activity. That's another part that gets me. They had this one girl they liked to parade out there a lot about, you deported my father. Well, the truth is her father got drunk drive home and beat the ever-loving, you know what, out of the girl's mama, so bad they needed to have an ambulance. Well, it turned out he'd done this before, and so when the cops come out and he got thrown in jail, he got deported. And so they convinced this little girl that it's the sheriff's fault. Back when Greg Hamilton was sheriff, and they keep bringing it out there. Now, me and Gabriel and some other people were out there one time, and they were just bashing on the sheriff really bad about all this, and they brought that little girl out there. And they never seemed to, the sheriff would list all these people, and you really want these kind of people in your country? Some of the most heinous crimes. Child molesting, domestic abuse, all this. 4 or 5 credit cards, 4 or 5 cards, all kinds.
Well, Pokey, you know, the
Is that
people,
Gabriel?
some people who have a different political view than what we may share, they think that we should be just like any other country, and they're making it like this. We used to have a peaceful transition of power.
That's true.
Now we have kooks in the street,
Well, and it was
protests,
a
fights.
huge pride for the U.S. that we did have. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about the United States, is that we would have a peaceful transition of power.
Well, I guess we've been globalized.
Well, no, I think the problem is we're undereducated. The kids don't take civics in school. They don't understand what the Electoral College is. They don't understand how it works. They don't at all. They don't understand the process. And so they get out and protest because they think if they're loud enough that they can do whatever they want. I think they also don't take responsibility. We've got, like, this girl whose dad got deported. Well, it's always somebody else's fault. It's the sheriff's fault he got deported. It's not her dad's fault.
Never
for
her
being
dad. He
black.
got drunk and sideswiped the car. Came on, beat up his mama so bad they had to have an ambulance.
Well, and obviously didn't try to become legal during that time either. So, you know, we have a lot of people who are here, who've been here illegally for a long time, who are who have jobs and who contribute and everything else. And yes, I think that our immigration has a problem because these people can't get status as residents, even though they've been good citizens for a long time and shown themselves to be good citizens. But they can't get it because of the quota system that the Immigration Service has. And that's ridiculous when we've got people who are passing right through who we know are bad people, and that they're passing through because they meet the quota for that particular country. So our immigration system has a problem. And then we've got a lot of people here who are here illegally who are not good people, who keep showing up in court and keep using different names. I can't tell you the times as a prosecutor that you ended up having to give a recommendation for them to go to jail just because you didn't have any other options, because they are illegal and they've done this before. So, and that's a problem. We need to be able to keep bad people out. I mean, any other country, they would have been deported right away. In England, they kick you out if your 30-day pass is expired. So.
Go ahead, Joe. I know you got to say something about this too. We're going to get to you, buddy.
You know, I think that the immigration system, yes, does need a little tuning up. I agree with that. But it's not the local administrations, the sheriff, the city police. It's nobody's business. It's got to start up in Washington. It's got to start up in Washington when they litigate the law. They make laws. We don't make anything but enforce the laws here. And if you don't have a free society, you have people running amok, just like you had over on Funderburgh and Lamar. There is no reason to burn anybody's property. There is no reason at all. Back in the day, of the riots in the 60s and the 70s, you would have the police out there. You would have the fire trucks out there with
their batons.
water hose and hose everybody down and get them off the street. And today they block traffic. They can lock hands and block traffic. This is totally
Major intersection.
unrest in this country.
Well-
Something's wrong.
The clarification, actually no property was burnt. Only thing burnt was in one police car.
Well, that's our property.
That's our property.
I'm sorry.
Our
taxes.
We pay
I don't
taxes.
think anything else was burnt, but they did a lot of trying to.
But look at all the other communities in the United States. We've seen this chaos and this disease like a cancer going all over the country. It's because we don't agree with one thing or another, and we got to protest. We got to burn things down. We got to break into people's property.
But
Why?
people think that they can because the local establishment has said, you know what, that particular law, we don't like that one, so we're not going to follow that one. We're going to follow some of these others, but nah, we're just not going to apply that law to you. We're just not going to apply it to these people. We're just not going to apply this particular law. And I'm sorry, but that is what creates chaos.
You know, what really disappoints me is that these are the tolerant people.
They're the tolerant people?
Yeah.
They claim to be.
Yeah.
They want to tolerate all the different diversity and all that kind of stuff.
Except they're intolerant to the people who want to have people be held to the law, held to standards, held to, be nice to other people. I mean, the biblical rule, do unto others as you'd have do unto you. I mean, they aren't doing protests like Martin Luther King or anyone else who said, go forth and let them know you're there, but do not violate the law to do it. I mean, Martin Luther King never advocated violence, never advocated hurting people, hurting property, but rather showing that you wanted to be heard, and by your showing, be heard. And this isn't what they're doing. They hold themselves out as doing that, but that's not what they're doing.
Buddy, there's still something in here.
Well, I think that, just like you said, do unto others as you have others do unto you. I think a lot of people look at that like do unto others before they do it unto you. But, it always happens to someone else. We always know, well, we heard this on the news, or we heard that on the news, until it hits home, till it happens to you or some of your family, then you can understand it. I mean, a lot of these people are out there saying, like the little girl that says, well, my dad got taken away, my family split, and that split my family. Well, someday she'll be able to see her father again.
She could have gone with him.
They know where they're at, I'm sure. The immigration's going to tell them where they're at. But you want to talk about splitting a family, have a son and daughter-in-law taken from you by these people. And
give us a rundown on what happened here.
Well, what happened, my son and daughter-in-law were riding a motorcycle. They're going 61 miles an
We
hour.
had the pictures still up there.
We have the speedometer, and it locked in as they were hit from behind. An illegal immigrant hit them from behind and drugged them, almost it was between 2 and 3 football fields before he stopped.
And he was driving like a little Kia or something, and he had this motorcycle in the engine
Right.
compartment.
The
The car only stopped because it stopped.
Yeah, it
Wouldn't go
stopped
any further.
because the car was inoperable. And he got out of the car and fled the scene. They brought him back to the scene and charged him with intoxicated manslaughter, two charges. He was a repeat offender. He was arrested in Travis County for a DWI and given personal bond, and I think they fined him $400.
Instead of deporting him then.
Instead of deporting. Had they deported him at that time, my son and daughter-in-law would probably still be alive at this time. So sanctuary city is something that really, I'm not for that. But anyway, they have, they have a law that after 90 days, if you have not been indicted, they have to give you personal bond.
Right.
So they gave this immigrant personal bond. He was turned over to ICE because they had a hold on him. Thank God they had a hold on him, or he would have just been turned right out on the streets to do it again. But they took him down to Pearsall. They were trying to deport him, and the district attorney at Bastrop County filed leaving the scene, felon stop and render aid, which is a felony. And they did bring him back. We had a hard time getting him back because at that time when he was in Pearsall, he was a federal prisoner. And I think federal overruled state or something like that. But we did get him back down there. He's there now with a $500,000 bond, and he still has an ICE hold on him, and he goes to court in March. But this is, I belong to the Remembrance Project, and that is a group of people that they have lost loved ones, family members to illegal aliens that are here. I can't tell you how many cases I've heard, how many families of, from 17-year-old daughter that was, killed and mutilated by one to 25-year-old musician that had his whole life in front of him, was shot and killed in Houston. Now, both these were in Houston. They have several of them in Austin: child abuse, child molestations, rape. There was an 84-year-old lady that got
Just recently here.
Just recently, the guy had been deported 8 times. They can deport them all they want, but evidently that doesn't do anything. And with the guy that was charged with intoxicated manslaughter on my son and daughter-in-law, they let him out on personal bond. So you're on personal bond for 2 charges of intoxicated manslaughter, and then if you get deported, how the heck are you supposed to come back to go to trial? So that system doesn't work. They need to let them do their time, let them go to court, hold them in custody, and then deport them, after they've paid for what they've done. But there's just so many cases. We did go visit with Donald Trump. We went to the White House. He paid for the whole thing coming up there. And I understand he paid for it out of his pocket. He paid for my other son and myself to fly to Washington, D.C., paid for a hotel room. We had, Secret Service bodyguards to protect us because there were some things going on up there, too. He treated us like we were just really special people, and this guy's, he's a billionaire. He's president of the United States.
You can afford to fly up there.
And he is just a genuine person. I mean, he is, we visited with him, not on camera, but he didn't have to be as nice as
No,
kind
he sure
as
did.
he was to us. And he's making his word good. He got elected with these promises that he was going to deport these people and he was going to get a lot of things straightened out. And he's acting on that now. And everyone that voted for him should stand up for him. If you voted for him, you need to stand up for him and help support him. Not just sit back and say, well, I don't want to get involved because, they have these riots going on and I don't want to, But I think a lot of people, if the truth be known, I think there are a lot of Democrats, a lot of people that voted for him that don't want to admit they voted for him because they want to get out and protest, but secretly they voted for him too because he got a lot of votes. He got elected. So it wasn't just the people that are sitting back and not doing
I'm
anything.
going to control room.
Okay?
Gabe coming on board?
Anyway. All right. All right. That's okay.
Thanks. Sorry about that. I
That's
had
okay.
traffic problems.
No problem.
You're going to fix that when you get elected, right?
I'm hoping we can, but unfortunately, we also have to worry about AISD and their school buses. I just got hit by one of them, but that's another story altogether. So, we've been listening in on
Yes.
everything that's been going on. So what else is, you probably had some more to say about what's been going
Well,
on.
I was just telling everyone that, I think that everyone that voted for Trump needs to stand up and support him. And the Remembrance Project is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, they take these families that just think it's the end of the world, whenever you lose a loved one. It's the end of the world, and no one wants to hear about it. No one wants to, of course, every time you see someone, you tell them about it. But, not getting any action, nothing's being done, and the guys are getting deported, and, they're not having to pay for their crimes. And, I think that support the Remembrance Project because I tell you, they're just about the only group that helps families like myself. And they're really good. Maria Mendoza, she was going to be here tonight. Skype, she is in Washington right now. She was going to be here, but she couldn't make it. But she will be here soon. And she sends her love to everyone, and keep her in your prayers.
Understood. So when you guys were up in Washington, did they say any plans or any ideas that they were going to have in order to try to fix?
Well, he did. When we were there, we witnessed him signing the presidential orders. That anyway, he got 5,000 more border patrol and 3 times as many ICE. These guys have been sitting out there, fighting by themselves. I mean, they've really been outnumbered, and they're having a real hard time. So he is, his plan's coming together, and he's going to keep fighting. He's going to keep it going. You can see around Austin right now they're having, I think they got 72 of these people in the Austin area in the last 72 hours, and you see what is causing a lot of protests, a lot of
People
stuff.
videotaping it on the
Right,
camera.
and making those guys look like the bad guys, but everyone comes here, and they know when they come here it's illegal. And there's a right way to do it, and I mean, I don't know a lot about the right way to do it, because I mean, I was born here, but there is a proper way to do it, and I urge everyone that wants to come here, I'm sure we welcome everyone here if they do it the right way. And you can't come to our country and just start killing people and everything, and raping little kids and old ladies and stuff like that, and just get deported, and that's the end of it. That's not what freedom is, and that's not what the American dream is.
Right. So now it's my understanding that with the changes that went on, and please correct me if I'm saying anything out of term, with the changes and with the order, they made a change as to what the previous administration, the Obama administration, had said what's allowable for ICE to pick up or for people to retain and deport versus what they're doing now. So there's a better or lower level of acceptance for the crime. So, for example, if you have someone that was involved in involuntary manslaughter, a year ago, they wouldn't pick them up. However, now they're saying it's okay to do this, and they're saying, under the Trump administration, they're saying those individuals need to get out, especially if there's, any type of severe actions. So it's my understanding that they're doing that part. And it's the other function that's happening is that because of what's been going on with, as the way it was eloquently put during the election with Sanctuary Sally, with what she has decided to do in regards to her, who she's going to hold.
Right.
That they're saying, okay, fine, you're holding them, we're going to go ahead and pick up the rest. So is that kind of what's happening now, or?
It is. You got to remember, back in the administration of Hamilton, when he was here, do you know that Travis County was noted for the most deportations in the United States?
Oh, yeah.
There were more people deported from Travis County than anywhere else. And then all of a sudden, we get a new administration, and it says, we're not deporting anybody. They're both Democrats. Now, explain that one to me.
Well,
what happened?
There's actually a couple of things that happened on that end. I'm gonna throw this out to Sheriff Hamilton was not actually a true Democrat. He was more of a conservative than anything else, and he wanted to follow the rule of law. When it came to following what he swore an oath to, that's part of that oath was taking care of that end. And he probably understood that there was going to be some repercussions if he didn't, and especially with the and I'll go even further. After the Patriot Act, when they aligned all law enforcement to go directly from the federal government down to the police officer, that he followed in step to say, this is what we're going to do. If they're telling us to do something, I'm going to do that. And he followed as he should. And now that we have Sanctuary Sally in the play, then she's decided to go off of her her own beat. But I'm guessing that now they're saying, okay, fine, you follow the beat of a different drummer. We're going to go ahead and fill up the rest of the holes that you're missing. Because we had another person that had she's going after, she kept murderers, and there was another, I think, the pedophiles that said that are automatic. They're going to hold them. But there was a couple people. There was one person, in fact, that was just recently let go because it was vehicular manslaughter. The person died.
Yeah, the only ones she's holding are capital murder, aggravated sexual assault, and human trafficking.
What makes it capital murder?
Capital murder is killing
police
two or more
officer.
persons, a police officer, a person in the course of committing another felony, or a child under the age of 5.
Would intoxicated manslaughter 2 charges, would that be a capital
No.
murder?
No,
no.
it can't get there.
No.
Capital murder is when you could go for the death penalty. Intoxication manslaughter is just intoxication manslaughter, but they can stack it.
Guys, I think about things like in large terms, and when I think of the idea of a sanctuary city, Chicago being a sanctuary city, that's a joke.
Look at it.
I mean, the idea is a joke.
Yeah.
The idea itself is a joke.
Well, look at San Francisco, for instance. You've got homeless people living in city parks. You've got
You can use a bathroom anywhere, I
Everywhere.
understand. Anywhere and everywhere, I understand.
And
Any
it's-
bathroom.
I mean, who would want to visit there? We've become now a city where people are coming. They're being attracted to Austin because of jobs, location. But what are we attracting here? What are we really getting here?
Well, what are our elected officials doing? I mean, Sally and everyone else took an oath of office when they took office to follow all the laws, federal, state, and local laws. And
Now-
she's not doing it.
Now, to me, I think if the Trump administration, as opposed to the abominable administration, when they cut off the money, something's going to happen.
Well, they've already cut the money off. They've cut the state funding of $1.5 million or $1.8 million.
1.7.
Yeah, dollars already. The
That,
government did.
that just caused them to lay off some deputies, didn't it? Or-
No, actually, no.
No.
It actually, what it cut was other
Departments.
the departments. It cut the veterans community
Yeah, so
policing
that's not
and
good.
and right
of the juvenile
some of the
courts.
juvenile
Yeah,
courts,
yeah.
some of the drug courts, some of those things.
So they cut back on services for people who pay taxes.
A lot of it, yeah.
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 But it still didn't affect her department yet. Wait till the federal government cuts off the water, and then see what happens.
Uh-huh.
Then you're going to see some. But what's really amazing is that our county commissioners have taken no action, have not brought this person before to task. So what are you doing?
You know, I was watching something on TV either the last night or the night before last. And I know we as conservatives don't generally hit the streets and make a bunch of noise. But I think that there's a role that we should play also. We should start to make some noise too.
Well, because it's the squeaky wheel that gets oiled. I mean, how many bicycle laws have they passed in Austin when we have very few people using the bicycle lanes? But we need to demand that our elected officials follow the law. It's important, and right now they're not. And I think that's one of the ways that Sally got herself elected, is she knew that there were people who would come out and vote for her if she was talking about making it a sanctuary city. And our DA's office, our county attorney's office, they aren't following the law. Anybody who got a DWI who got released after paying $400, that's not following the law. First time DWI, you're supposed to do at least 3 days in jail. And, our county and district attorneys can make that happen.
One question about our new sheriff, okay, or district attorney, whichever one, sheriff, okay.
Sheriff?
Okay, Miss Sally, what all has she lost due to the sanctions for her saying what she was going to say about, not detaining and all this other stuff? What, because they said that they were going to take some money away from her, Travis
Right.
County was taking some money away from her. Just what kind of funding did she lose?
She didn't lose funding. Travis County.
Oh, Travis County lost
Lost
some funding.
funding.
Oh, well, that's not
So what they're
good.
doing is that they're
Discretionary
diversing,
funds.
they're moving areas like Mara was mentioning, is they're taking away certain other positions, and they're freezing
Hiring?
the hiring that has not been filled.
Right.
But it's
Okay.
not affecting law enforcement. It's going to
Okay.
be affecting everybody else.
So it's not affecting operations yet.
Correct.
Right. And
Okay.
so what they
That's what I was
did,
curious about. Thank you very much.
okay, they cut that funding trying to put pressure on the commissioner's court to put pressure on Sally. It's not working.
And it's not working. And it's not working.
But
She doesn't seem to care.
when you get the big bucks coming in from Washington, then you're going to get somebody's attention. That's usually like using that big 2x4 on somebody. You hit them square in the head. By God, something's going to.
Well, they're getting state money cut off also, aren't they?
Yeah.
State money and
Yeah, that was the
Right.
governor.
That was the governor
Yeah,
cutting
that
off
was the governor said
state
no.
money to the county.
And I think they're looking at trying to cut more off at this time. But let's go back to the federal side. For the government to remove that money, they're going to have to pass a bill then. In order for that to happen, they can't. I'd imagine Trump's not going to want to sign an executive order saying we're freezing money if you're doing this.
Now you've got the line item veto. He can line item veto anything he wants to line item.
Right?
And it just happens that way. Then you bring it into the state. Well, it's got to come into the state in some form, either by health,
What's
by
that?
traffic,
governor
by
has line
some
item
other
veto, right?
form. It comes into
so.
the state
Yeah.
of Texas. Then it comes to the governor's office. Then he's the one that doles it out again.
Okay.
So they don't actually bring in federal money to the local governments. They bring it into the governor's office.
Well, and the federal government has put pressure on by, we've been seeing a lot more ICE officers. They've been doing things that they hadn't done before because Travis County had been so cooperative in recognizing their holds. And they've come in and they've been doing these stings to go in
Right.
and pick people up that they've been researching and checking on. People that they usually would have attached once they got arrested, people who are out on bond, people who have been released, people who are on personal bond, people who are on probation, who have federal cases. They're going out and picking them up. So they've also stepped it up from the Attorney General's office so that these indictments are coming faster. And so they're not being held while they waited for an indictment, but the AG's office has stepped it up so that they're actually presenting the indictments within days.
Okay.
3 days.
And we should also acknowledge that ICE has said that we're ramping up our efforts here because of what's been going on with the sheriff's office, with Sally's refusal to help out on that part.
Exactly.
So let me add a little bit more to this whole thing. We've seen what Sally's done, and we're seeing the effects of it. And we're hearing local officials. We have one, which, as Don Zimmerman is calling him Little Caesar, or Caesar. I'm calling him Mr. Napoleon, which is Greg Kassar, who is saying that he's the head of the resistance. He's acknowledged that he's head of this new group called the Resistance that is pushing against Trump. You mentioned about local officials not following the rule of law or not following what they've been sworn into. Is he doing the exact same thing? Is he not following the rule of law or what he's been sworn to do as a city council member?
Well, you got to remember, he's got a right, freedom of speech.
Right.
He can say anything he wants to say. What are his actions? But it's going to be up to the voter. It's going to be up to the voter next time he comes up for re-election.
Okay.
Because only the voter can remove this guy, unless he does some illegal act. And
Well, isn't inciting a riot illegal? He's asked people to, he's told people to protest and to make, and it's gone to the point where he's like on the cusp of actually saying, you're going to riot. He has scared a group of people, and he's not only scared a group of people who are not here legally, but other people into passing false information to other people, saying, be on the lookout. I mean, you guys have probably seen what's out there. They're saying that there's that we have border checkpoints on 969 and Decker, which by law, I even said this to one of the reporters on KVUE, which by law they can't do that. They've mentioned that they're knocking on doors in Manor, which they never have. They were doing it on Manor Street or Manor Road, if they're knocking on doors, it's because they have a viable warrant to go after a particular person that lives there.
think about this, though, Gabriel. When you cause chaos like that and false information, you throw out a net of things,
Right.
of falsehoods. People are going to believe what they want to believe.
Right.
Now, the more chaos you start, the easier it is to bring that mind to think the way you do.
Right.
Okay? So this is what's going on now. Now, who's going to take action against this guy? The mayor? No.
Well, no, but it's got to be the people.
But when he begins to, you can then point to an incident that he created, then you have the district attorney going after him.
Okay.
Okay?
If she does.
That's not going
Well,
to
she's got to do a study.
Well, but this is
If he says he'll resign, she's going to not go forward.
Right, exactly.
But there is, okay, so your elected officials have a duty, a duty to their people, and they have a fiduciary duty, which is a civil liability. And so if what they're doing is causing us to lose tax dollars, causing us to lose benefits that you can quantify, you may have a civil case against
It comes back to the taxpayer.
Because
Come back to the
so then
taxpayer.
we'd have to look at, well, we can look at the tax dollars that are being lost at the county level based on what's going on with the governor. And would we have to look now at all the businesses, for example, H-E-B, Target, and the like, to see how much money have they lost since this whole ordeal has started, so that we can track how much money has actually been lost at a county level.
Well, yeah, that's a little more obscure, but if what he's doing is calling everyone to go out and block off Runberg, and they block off Runberg, and during that block off, it costs us the cost of the SWAT team to be out there, and the ambulances to be out there, and the police officer to be out there, and then the car that they destroyed. That is a quantifiable number that was for a specific purpose, that they were instigated by his actions.
Okay.
Then you might be able to get to it.
Okay, so this Thursday, they're talking about having people not show up to work. They're having people talk about not going to schools. There's like a day
sick
without,
out?
yeah, sick out, kind of like the day without immigrants. I forgot how it's actually called. If that's caused by him, or if he was the one that called for this, and we can track where this whole thing started, this whole the flyer and everything else, would that be something that can be done?
Problem becomes, if they're illegal immigrants, then the losses were because the businesses were hiring illegals when they shouldn't be. It may just highlight for them that they have this issue and that they have liability, and they may just lose their jobs.
Right. What about the schools?
Now, what I guess hope would happen would be for Austin to become a less attractive place for conventions and things like that.
Well, the governor's already doing that with the basketball.
Because the rubber's going to meet the road where the money flows.
That's true. That's true. But it's everyone has this idea that if we didn't have illegals, the city of Austin wouldn't run. And that's really not true. The numbers don't support that.
Right.
Mostly because the numbers that we have are for people who have presented themselves or papers that they are legal at the time, and we're running on that. It's an undercity, and with it brings responsibilities for the city too. So it puts more of a burden on the city from the legal income to support them. So I don't think that that's, I don't believe that that's a true problem.
Well, here again, the excuse is, well, they're doing jobs that the Americans don't want to do, right? The reason they're doing these jobs is because they get paid less, and they work 7 days a week.
Well, they don't pay taxes, so they make more.
That's right. And the fact of the matter is, who's checking? Who's checking to see who's working on Sunday? Who's checking to see how many hours these people are working? You said from sun up to sundown. And there's six or seven people living in one bedroom apartment. Who's checking? Nobody.
One motel room.
Yeah. I mean, who's checking? Nobody is.
Do you know that in the subsidized housing, if you have one person who is legal, you can have as many others in there as you want? And they won't do anything about it?
Well, you have an American child, and he qualifies, right?
Right.
Mom and dad qualify.
Anchor baby.
Everybody qualifies. So when they say, well, illegals don't live in subsidized housing, that's a lie. Because I've seen it. In the work that I do every day, I see it every day. They're there. They're not going to leave. Why are you going to leave something that's so good? You left your country for that reason. Now you want to make this country look like your country? No. This is America. This is free. This is the land of the free and home of the brave. Where are the brave men and women that maintain law enforcement every day? When we have a sheriff that rebels against common law, common sense, where are we going with this thing? People need to realize that when you elect an official, who is this person that we're going to elect? Who is this person we're going to put in office? Don't look at the D or the R. Look at the qualifications. Who is this person? Can he do the, or he or she can do the job? Let's let them do the job that we elected them to do. But when you have a person that resists common law, the federal law, or a federal order, well, we need a warrant. She's not a lawyer. The only thing she ever achieved in her life was a constable. She was elected to the constable's office in Precinct 3. And that's not even from Austin.
Well, and when you're being elected as a law enforcement official, you should be enforcing the law.
Hello?
All the laws. I mean, kind of a given, isn't it?
I don't think there was a pick and choose in the application when it says, well, all right, Sheriff, which one do you want to do? Well, I'll see number 4, I don't like that one, and number 8, I'm not going to do that one either. You do them all. They're all the same. You do law enforcement. You enforce the law.
Well, and as of February 6th, the county had, since Sally got sworn in, had declined 203 requests to hold persons. So, in less than, well, that was a month.
Are
In 30 days,
Are they able to?
230.
Are we able to find out what crimes they had?
You are, but they're not reporting
But they're not
that.
reporting it.
A FOIA, will a FOIA reach that, a Freedom of Information Act
Yeah.
request?
Yeah.
So,
Actually, you could go, well, if you could compare the inmates, you can search online for what inmates are there, and if you find out who was released, you can find out what they're held for.
So let me go back to some of the crimes that Sally's holding people. So, can you say the ones that they're doing again?
Capital murder, murder, first-degree murder, they call it. First-degree murder, not second-degree murder, because second-degree murder would be without intent. I know,
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
by accident, or by, anyway.
Oops, the gun went off.
Yeah,
Type thing.
yeah.
Under the influence.
Aggravated sexual assault, and then human trafficking.
Okay, so aggravated sexual assault, that's with a weapon, correct? Or that's with extra force?
It's with a weapon or it's sexual assault of a child under the age of 12.
Okay, so sexual assault under a child under the age of 12.
Actual intercourse, correct. Not touching or,
And not kidnapping on that end.
no kidnapping, no spousal abuse, no assault with serious bodily injury, no DWI, second felony DWIs, no
Robbery.
DWIs with serious injury or manslaughter,
Robbery.
no robbery.
That's kind of sad,
Right.
to be honest
Right.
with you, because I mean, I teach, and I've seen some of these kids that had to leave because of the foster care system had to force them out because there was something going on at home that shouldn't have happened. Granted, there was no actual sexual intercourse with some of these kids, but there was some other stuff that was going on that shouldn't have happened. And so with that type of situation.
Or no proof of sexual intercourse.
Right.
Abuse is abuse.
Right. So they're allowing adults who do that to kids, or even 17-year-olds or older, to do that and still let them be here within the country.
Assault, family violence isn't in there.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of things that affect the assault on an elderly person isn't in there. Even if you beat them really badly, that would be assault with serious bodily injury. That's not on here, as long as they didn't use a weapon.
Wow.
Abuse of a corpse.
Well,
terrible.
I mean, it's leaving a lot of our most vulnerable in a very vulnerable position. Because the people who commit those kinds of offenses commit them over a long period of time. And a lot of times the family or the neighbors are afraid to speak out for fear that they'll become victims.
Right.
And so, I think that's a huge issue.
This falsehood about, well, people live in the shadows. They're not going to report crime if we deport them. They don't want these people here either. They don't want them as neighbors because they prey on these people that are doing a good job. They're minding their own business. But when a person is here in this country for 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, and never applies to become an American citizen, shame on you. Shame on you. You're here, you have the opportunity, you've got kids here. Show them the way. Show them the right way to do these things. This is here again, it's a land of law. You learn both languages. I did. And I was born here. But it's a matter of fact, when people prey on their own, in their own community, they want these people deported. They want them out of here. You ask them, they'll tell you. But the fact of the matter is that we have elected officials that don't leave their office to go talk to people. They need to get into the community. They need to find out what really goes on. Creedmoor, Del Valley, Westlake, Lakeway, Jonestown. Talk to people. Don't assume anything. Get the facts. That's what it's all about. A good investigation is get the facts. What are the facts? Let the facts stand for themselves. And that's who we are. Fact finders. As the elected official, you need to know what you're talking about. Not just make up the stuff as you go along.
But when they make a sanctuary city, especially like Austin, it seems that it's going to be like a crime magnet, that's just going to attract criminals because they know they can get away with it. I mean, if they can come to Austin and rob someone or do whatever they're going to do, drug deals or whatever, all they're going to do is deport them. Well, evidently, deportation is not a sentence for those guys. They come right back.
Right. Well, it's funny because in Austin, they can stop someone and find out that they have no insurance, no valid driver's license, no insurance. And do you know they write them a ticket and let them drive away? Which, if they're driving away, they're committing the offense again within the purview of a police officer. And this is kind of the same thing. It's a rubber band. Oh yeah, look, you did something, but we're going to throw you back in.
There's a story behind that. I know they're talking about they're trying to pick up vehicles again, or trying to tow, I guess,
Impound them.
Impound them. Thank you. They tried doing this 2 years ago, I think under the old regime for city council. And then you had a group of people saying, well, you're affecting those that are undocumented, that are here illegally. And so they said, fine, we're not going to do it. Of course, they're losing a little bit of money here and there. So now the city's saying, how are we going to generate more money? Well, let's go to impound those cars again. And it's just incredible. It's absolutely incredible on that part. So we've got about maybe 15 more minutes left. And I know Mike had a really good question on this part. What do we do now? What are the next steps that we can do? We're seeing the other side, or the left, or the leftists, or the leftistas, protesting, making all this noise and scaring people.
You mean the Leftinistas?
The Leftinistas, yes. They're making all these noises. The advocates who are working for them or trying to support, are trying to help them out, are scaring them to death, or scaring this group of people to death. They're here, and like I said before in the show, what do we do with them? Obviously, we can try to find some way to assist in some manner to those that are the hard workers. But what do we do? What do we do now? I mean, what can we do? Can we recall? Well, first, I guess the first big question is.
Well, it's hard to have a competing protest because most of us work.
That's true. That is true. do we, I guess the big question that we would have to ask is, can some of these elected officials that have brought fear, hi, she wanted to be on the show.
Well, we in those stages sitting at the elected official's office.
Are some of these elected officials that are creating this havoc, can we recall them? Can we start a petition to recall them based on what they're doing?
I don't think the Texas code,
Allow that?
not for a recall. I mean, you can be disqualified from holding office if you were found guilty of fraud or a criminal case in certain, on certain things, be disqualified. I don't know, you're talking about election code here, and the election code itself is about 6 volumes, and not my area of expertise. But it's not going to be easy, because it's never been done.
Okay.
Not in my lifetime, at least, that I know of.
I know in other cities, they try to recall city council members for some of the actions that they've done.
And city council members and
School board.
school board, those kinds of things, you can sometimes do that, or put enough pressure on them that they'll actually just withdraw.
Well, this is why the governor's pushing for legislation, and the lieutenant governor's pushing for legislation to make a law for people that don't enforce the law.
Right.
But it won't affect the current elected officials right now.
Yes, it
It
will.
It will.
Oh, yeah.
But based on past aggressions?
No, but when they can make it become
When he
go
signs
into
it.
law, and when he signs it.
Yeah.
And so it would be enforceable from that moment on.
Right. So by that time, they have every opportunity to say, hey, I've seen the light, and let's go ahead and follow the rule of law.
Yeah.
So, and then all the stuff that they've done is basically all for nothing.
Well, it'll be
But
May-
we'd get what we wanted.
May
Right.
31.
They'd
is-
be
is the
actually be
last day.
enforcing the law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And which is what you want.
Right.
To enforce the law.
Right.
Okay.
You've made your point.
Okay.
see.
Is there anything else we can do with the issues of false information being put out there? I'll give you a good example. We have a friend that posted a video of an arrest that was going on, and we're watching this video, and there's semi-automatic weapons that are being drawn out on the suspect. Everybody thinks it's ICE. Nothing indicates that it's ICE. It turned out to be a drug bust. And people are trying to share that information, saying, "Oh my God, immigration's coming after," and it's like, no, it's already said here. The scary part is that one of the people that made comments actually knew one of the narcs in that video, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to know you, but that's another story altogether. What do we do to try to? Should we,
Well, I think
as reasonable people, I guess if you want to put it that way?
Well, of course, education. I mean, these people need to know what the law is and what they can and can't do and what their rights are. And they need to know that I mean, we have the same problem all over the United States. When you have an officer who is asking you for something and it's reasonable, you don't get to spout off at them and strike at them and run away. That's just not how you act. That there is a rule of law. There are things you can ask for. There are things you can't, and they need to know these things. And by talking to the groups that these people respect and go to, by talking to the churches and the people who can actually influence them, people they trust, and explaining to them what the facts actually are and showing them what the facts actually are so that they can get the truth out from people that they trust. I think that's the only thing that can be done.
Okay.
I mean, I've tried, I have lots of clients who are Spanish speakers, been here for a long time, and I've been explaining to them what they can and can't do and what this means for them. And to people who have groups and nonprofits, I've been doing the same thing. Because the only way to fight the disinformation is to get them correct information coming from people they trust.
Okay.
When you have a culture or a society that comes from another country, they bring their culture with them. They all seem to find their little path in their little neighborhoods, and they all talk the same language. So when you have, pardon me?
Speak up.
When you have a situation where you've got 1,000 people living in a community, they're going to be chattering among themselves. And what they want to believe is what they're going to hear. I don't care who tells them, the truth or not. They're not going to believe you. Number one, they're going to believe what they want to believe. Oh, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to get deported. I'm going to go to jail. They're going to kick me out of the country. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
How do you fix that? Once it's already, just like letting the cat out of the bag. How do you unring the bell?
Right.
You don't. It doesn't happen that way. They beat you to the punch. It's out there.
Okay.
And everybody's just running around amok. And then they see all these things on television, they see this thing on the radio, on the newspaper, El Mundo. I was reading the newspaper the other day, and you don't say anything to anybody. You just take off. Outrun the police. It's like, that's crazy. That is crazy. Don't give them your name. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't. But instead of saying, "Hey, cooperate," if there's a problem, there's an issue. You know that there's a problem and there's an issue. Correct it. Don't hide from it. Fix it. You've been here 15, 20 years. You know how to fix things.
So you're basically saying there's nothing we can do.
Right now, you can't do it because there's so much chaos going on in the streets. There's so much false information that's already beat you out there. You know, what newspaper is going to carry the true story?
Well,
KV did.
They
Yeah.
did. They did.
Unfortunately, they didn't save it online, or they didn't post it online. Thank you for Anthony, though, for getting a copy of it so that we can share that information about what was said.
well, and we have to, we've got news media that takes things and wants to. I mean, man, do they want a zombie apocalypse or what? That would be the best news for them ever. And so they're trying to create more havoc because havoc plays better. Havoc gets you more people to watch. And they are taking these stories without any research to determine the truthfulness. And we need to call them on it when they do that. We need to say, listen, you're out there to speak the truth. You are supposed to be reporting the news, not the rumors, not the inflated bull, but the news. And it's not news if it's not true.
Not the
Yeah,
narrative.
but what sells newspapers? Good news or bad news? Let's go. Let's be
We
realistic.
know it's bad
The
news.
bad news does. I mean, this
Fire.
is what.
Any ideas you may have? What can we do? What can we do to fight this?
I don't know. I was watching Dale, and they were talking about the Mexican consulate, and all that, and I think that maybe if some of the people that are here, if they're afraid that the ICE is going to kick their door in or catch them when they're walking down the street and all that kind of stuff, can't they go? Is there some place they can go and talk to these people and find out what they need to do to get this straightened out to where they can
Yeah.
stay in this country legally?
Oh yeah, there's actually
Well, I don't see any of that information out there.
There's actually some advocate groups that are out there right now. In fact, AISD hosted a group this past weekend. There's stuff online saying who you can call in order to ask for help about questions that may come up.
But
Now, whether or not the information that they're saying that they're telling people, we don't know what it is.
Right. I was just listening to what Joe was saying, that they tell them, run, run, run. If you see
Yeah.
them, run. But, they need to form an organization or do something, put that information out there to
What do we need?
help
Conservative
people.
sponsored safe spaces?
Well, no, I don't know, but I mean, they can, the people that are here that don't want to be, there has to be something that someone can do for the people that are really concerned about it. And if they're not concerned about it, then, whatever happens, happens.
Well, and when it comes down to it, the people who they're telling to run because they are illegal and they've done something wrong, run all the way to the border.
Well,
Run back across.
look at,
Run down and get a driver's license.
ICE is doing what they're supposed to do, what we want them to do, in that they're making the illegal people.
Okay.
I think that, as it all boils down to, from my point of view, and this is not any solution, but it is something that everyone needs to think about. You never know when the last time you see someone may be the last time you see them.
That's
So hug your kids, tell them you love them, and, just pray.
Mike, and let me say, I never had a chance to tell you my condolences for
Thank you very
your
much.
loss on your family. That was very tragic, and no one should ever go through that.
Well, it can happen to anyone. That's the
Yes.
scary part. It could be you or I, or Pokey driving down the street, when
that's
you
what
get hit
Po-
from behind. I mean,
Hopefully Pokey's not driving.
What can you do?
I might drive back. Mike's
Maybe
going to
driving.
his show coming on next. Don't turn the channel.
Yeah.
Don't mess with your computer.
Stay with it.
Right, talking Mike Lee's next.
Funny you should say being hit from behind.
Well, yeah, I told the story
Are you
about.
talking about getting rear-ended? Now, are you getting rear-ended, or is it him getting rear-ended?
Got rear-ended.
Yep.
It was from that,
It was. I already told him
flea
that.
market out on 290.
Ah,
We heard the guy bouncing in the cars.
He hit several cars behind us, and I think we followed him to the stop sign.
Throwing beers out all the way.
He was throwing
Good-
beer bottles
good thing
out
you
of
wasn't
his
going
truck
120.
left and right.
Yeah.
We got his tag number, came up fictitious tag.
Yeah, the cops told us.
Down 95. They
Yeah.
fly down there.
Rick, take my can, go back to what Joe was saying about defending the other people. One of the people he hit was a younger Mexican fella and his little wife and their 9-10-year-old kid. The kid was able to speak English. Now, this guy was dressed well, his wife was dressed well, and he'd been working on his pickup truck, you could tell. It was just a pride and joy. You could tell this kid had really worked hard. And he just messed that truck all up. And just drove off. That's because you heard him. They were coming up behind me and saying, "What the heck's that?" Not exact words they used, but. And I managed to almost get out of his way, and he tipped my bumper. Otherwise, he was just plowing into people. He tore this poor kid's truck all up. I mean, you could tell this kid had worked hard, took care of everything. He had his wife. They're all cleaned up. They're out Saturday night. And this illegal just,
Zapped him.
Just messed it all up.
yeah.
Well, we know the fight's not gonna end anytime soon, and obviously, we still have a lot of work that needs to be done, and especially with those that have the common sense to be able to say, yeah, this is what's actually going on, without scaring people. We're probably gonna still have to release that message of what we can do to try to help. I guess ease the calms of what's happening with some of the people out there, and try to fight the misinformation. You're right. It's gonna be tough, but there's gonna have to be people that's gonna have to pass on that information. Hopefully, people like us and people out there that are watching and will be watching the show on YouTube will be able to carry that proper message. But I do want to thank everybody for showing up. Pokey, you want to send off everybody?
Yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to get all the film up for you, because you really did do a good interview out there. If you got the show flyer, you can see it on there. You can see Buddy's interview anyway. I think she put up the for the Remembrance Project, because that really is a good group. You need help. Well, we'll be off again for another week. I know we've only on 2 shows last month, 2 shows this month. I think we have 3 shows in March. And of course, hopefully I'll be back for some of them. I appreciate the heck out of Gabriel. It's really good to have you back.
Well, thanks. Well, I mean, now that we're not having to worry about a special election, we get to go ahead and do what we've got to do. So
yeah, because it's been tough on me and Mom. She had her chemo this Friday, and I was down with pneumonia the 2nd time in 3 years. And I sure got to praise the VA healthcare, because they kept me alive again. Y'all are stuck with me for at least a little while longer.
Good.
well, that's always
Glad
a
to
good
have
thing.
you.
That's always a good.
Well, I'm sorry it didn't come out quite the way it wanted to tonight. But you never know. It's a trailer park show.
Well, remember what we said last time. We always have issues with what goes on here, and sometimes we have those little bugs that don't like what we have to say.
That should be too.
So
Because we sure had
It's
some
just the
good filming.
beginning. We'll have another
Who
show.
is Joe Hernandez?
Yeah, I'm thinking,
Joe Hernandez, he changed your name. Hey guys, we're got a couple seconds left.
Joe
Thank you very
Martinez.
much for being here.
well, damn. That time it's kind of on me.
Not all sounds the same.
How about in 2 weeks?
Hell yeah.
Let's see if we can get her back on in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And maybe.